The man who did this was on the parole at time and had a history of bizarre incidents and also drug-induced behavior. The question now, was enough done to prevent him from committing the crime? Chief Investigative Reporter Wendy Halloran is here with more on that. Wendy.
Well, Heidi and Mark, Ammon Jacob Woodhead's drug-fueled crimes terrorized this family, attempting to kill them. In fact, they are part of a lawsuit against adult probation and parole and the Board of Pardons and Parole. I'm going to show you some of his history and why he shouldn't have been paroled yet again and roaming the streets.
July 2022, utter chaos. Ammon Jacob Woodhead being taken down to the ground. Arrested for attempting to kill Clarence Newman and his wife, Bethany Schmucker. Newman was able to get his 87-year-old father out of the basement and his wife to safety after Woodhead demanded money and then torched their home.
It's a huge failure on the Board of Pardons and AP&P, both.
But that's far from the first violent crime Woodhead committed. A decade earlier,
an individual by the name of Dave Zeller woke up to find you standing over him. He was in bed, attempting to strike him in the legs with a hatchet.
He struck another person in the house, made his way into another home, high on meth.
Climbed up onto a roof using a fence, and up on the roof making incoherent statements. Police were called, produced a knife, held that knife to your own throat for a while, made comments suggesting suicide by cop.
He claimed police planted a bomb on him and were going to blow him up. He threatened to blow himself up and threatened to blow up Murray City. After he came down, he told police he was a meth addict, didn't know what he was doing going into people's houses and assaulting them, and that he was just running, trying to get away from the shadow people.
I know is what everybody else knows on like the news. I just know that. I don't remember.
Fast forward to 2018, he's inside the Monaco Hotel stairwell, broke a mirror and terrified a housekeeper. Agitated and pacing the floor, he cut his neck several times with a broken mirror and laid down on the floor. Blood smears on the doors and walls. Woodhead had no recollection of this either. This is him during another parole hearing.
As I read this report, it doesn't sound like you really have any, major mental illness.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. Yeah.
You think differently?
Yeah. It's not like a major mental illness. It's more like a drug-induced psychosis.
Despite Woodhead's admission and promise not to do drugs, the parole board granted him parole multiple times, and each time he relapsed and reoffended.
And he should have just never been paroled anyway, with that kind of a violent history.
This man is a former AP&P agent. We are protecting his identity. He partially blames the 2015 law known as the Justice Reinvestment Initiative, known as JRI, that favors drug treatment instead of being locked up.
Why do we keep doing this? Why do we keep overusing JRI with violent criminals?
He says Woodhead is a menace to society and says AP&P and the parole board were warned.
I've known Ammon throughout my time as a corrections officer and as an AP&P agent, and he's been nothing but trouble since day one. When officers and agents would speak out to administration, there was nothing done about it.
Now, on August 10th, Woodhead was sentenced to a mandatory minimum of 18 years in prison for convictions of attempted aggravated murder and aggravated arson. I reached out to AP&P for comment, but they have not gotten back with me yet. The Board of Pardons and Parole says due to pending litigation related to Ammon Jacob Woodhead's case and on the advice of legal counsel, the board cannot comment about prior events related to Mr. Woodhead. However, with respect to current action, Mr. Woodhead was sentenced on a new commitment offenses on August 9th. Pursuant to state statute and administrative rule, the board will conduct an administrative review of Mr. Woodhead's case within the next 6 months to set his next hearing before the board.